See,
not talk
I'm out of
sports.
practice. So, that was a show once. We're here now.
It was. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, look.
Yeah.
The show did a lot for us, right? We're not here to
Exactly.
bash our
Brought
old
us
work.
together.
Yeah.
I'm Josh. He's Graham. He's the guy that is bringing in all the news that's fit to print, tweet, or otherwise for Georgia and otherwise. I'm the stat nerd that gets to jump on here and have fun with John and Graham when time permits. So, and time is permitting, so we're gonna spring practice kicked off this week, but also we're gonna mostly talk about the NCAA. Graham, I've been working today. I've definitely been following the news, but can you fill me in on what news there is from Pro Day and some news and notes from practice?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing from Pro Day, I'll say this with the caveat that with anything NFL draft related, you always have, I feel like, more strong of a reaction to bad than good. So, I think the headliner of the day for the UGA Pro Day was Jalen Carter, weighed in 9 more pounds heavy than he was at the combine in Indianapolis 14 days ago, however long ago that was. But that shouldn't be a shock. I mean, most of those guys try to cut weight before the combine, but I think he didn't look good. I mean, he just was cramping up and I think having some muscle spasms and stuff. And so he struggled to get through some drills at full speed. And I personally came away from it like less worried about where he is physically on this very specific day in March of 2023, because that'll take care of itself. Like we all know, he's a specimen of an athlete. My concern is just where his, emotional state is at right now after kind of everything that's come out in the media and a lot of people saying strong things about him with not a ton of background information necessarily to go off of. And a lot of assumptions have been made about his character or what he did or didn't do on the night of January 15th. We know he was there at the scene, but without getting too deep down that like wormhole again, because I think we've talked about that a lot. I think that's going to be the question that comes out of today is like, is he okay? And if you're an NFL franchise, do you feel like you can trust him to be the guy that you need him to be and show up ready to work when it's time for mini camps and all that stuff later on this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how stressful a time this might be for a guy coming out of college, getting ready with all this pressure, especially Jalen, who has been going full speed since, SEC championship. It's just been SEC championship, Peach Bowl final, combine, and then of course the tragedy that's got kind of still got a cloud over him and the program is all, and then right into Pro Day. So yeah, I mean that's a lot. that's a lot, I mean, I don't want to make excuses for him, but
no, I mean, I think you're right. Like it was suggested to me today, like, hey, there's a good chance that he's not fully healthy right now. Like not mentally speaking, but like physically, like his knee has never really had a full rest between coming back from, that injury against Missouri and then going through combine workouts and prep and all of that. So yeah, I think it's a valid question. And I mean, my thing at the end of the day with him is just like put on 3 years of tape. Like he was the best player on that 2021 defense.
Yeah. I mean, I still think when you're talking about using a top 10, top 8 pick, you can't have a lot of question marks, and be frank, there's some question marks, and I think that's fair. And if you don't think there's question marks with Jalen Carter, we all know him as one of the best players that have ever played for Georgia. He was part of 2 national championship teams, so he's got he'll be a damn good dog forever. But when you're an NFL GM, you got to take that emotion out of it. So I get it. What's interesting to me is I got into this last year, listening to a couple of podcasts, and just the total gambling on the over-unders and top picks for NFL draft. It's pretty interesting because at one point, it's just, you can track it and just those guys they on all the mock boards and stuff, all the mock drafts and stuff like that, how they come and go. It would have been interesting if you could have gotten some money on the over for 2.5 for Jalen Carter, which is he'll go in the first round. He'll go very early in the first round, and and it might be serendipity. Maybe he's going to go to a team a really good team. So, I hope he gets right. I hope he gets right physically. I hope he has a good night in April, and starts his NFL career off on the right foot. Any of the other notes coming out of the actual Bulldogs on campus?
I think Stetson Bennett looked good again. It's the second time we've seen him throw. Obviously, he's throwing on air, but the arm, I think, is bigger than probably a lot of at least media folks, not you and I, but like national media folks would expect. And I think he just showed that again today, that he's got plenty of pop in that arm, and he, has the ability to make all the throws, and he looks good on the move. And he, he did his workout with a fat lip in, which I just thought was absolutely beautiful and poetic. It's kind of perfect Stetson Bennett style. So I think that he's done himself a pretty good job over the last couple of weeks between the combine and pro day. Like, I would think that he may creep up into like the third round. I think that's more likely right now than him being a 5th, 6th, 7th type guy. So,
he definitely brought up his NFL draft floor. I don't know if if he's raised. Yeah, I mean, his floor has gotten considerably higher through after the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, I think today for Georgia is, it's kind of a sort of an advertisement for the program in a certain way. Like, there's recruits on campus. You got a ton of NFL people there. And the one thing I'll say about college coaches that I think might surprise some people is just like, those guys are honest with NFL people about what they think about their players, whether it's strengths and weaknesses, because they have to be, if they're not, then they'll lose all credibility. And it's not good for recruiting if your guys aren't getting drafted. So I think that it's a good opportunity for coaches to come in and kind of get the real spill on some of these guys. And I think that Georgia's players tend to interview well. Nolan Smith looked good again in his workouts. Keely Ringo, I thought, looked more fluid in his on-field exercises than he did when he was at the combine in Indianapolis. He looked just a little kind of 10th of a second off sometimes on some of his reaction time, but he looked more comfortable today. And a guy like Kyrus Jackson, who has a hurt wrist from the national championship game and can't do everything workout wise, like him getting some of that FaceTime with NFL people who may have been drawn to Athens today by like a Jalen Carter or a Ringo or a Nolan Smith, like that's a great opportunity for him as well. And he's the type of guy that will interview really well and take advantage of it. So I don't think there's any bad news necessarily out of the combine today, other than just sort of some more questions about Carter. But he's going to get drafted high because he's so, he's the biggest story of the draft right now in a lot of circles, and B, there's all this tape. I mean, like his time at Georgia, we kind of knew like there was times where, not that he took practices off, but just like he's so talented that going at 70% for him is often good enough to beat the man in front of him. And I think that'll be some of the conversation is like, when you get to the NFL, are you able to show up every single play at full speed?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's a lightning rod. He's going to bring news no matter what. He's going to be picked apart. And now it's over. Pro day is behind him. Now it's, mock draft season. But there's not any other news, there is a big sporting event in between now and the NFL draft, and it's the eve of the NCAAs. And even though Georgia did not have a season that was really that exciting from, like you said many times, it was year zero for Mike White. But there are 64 teams that are going to tip off, and I'm pretty excited. This is one of the best sporting events in.
I mean, this is one of the best gambling weeks of the year. Let's be honest here. I know you don't maybe partake as heavily as I do, but like as a remote worker, live basketball is going to come on my television about 10:15 in the morning tomorrow, and it's going to be on until
it's gorgeous,
like 10:30 at night, maybe later. And yeah, I mean, gotta get a little action, maybe find yourself a sub sandwich.
Are you doing outrights? Are you? I mean, I'm sure you're doing a little bit of everything. You probably got some futures. You're doing some matchups. I remember one year I did. This was like a real bookie, a paperhead, and me and a buddy just went in. I think we put $10 on every underdog in the first round. I think we went like 22-10 or something like that. So there's tons of narratives. Bet the 12 seeds, all that sort of stuff. But what's your initial 30,000 foot view before we get into a little detail?
I mean, I think this year in college basketball has been pretty chaotic, and there hasn't really been that team that was dominant throughout. Alabama's kind of become like viewed as that team here over the last month or so, and they have closed the season really strong, but like they also got taken to the wire on their home floor by Auburn. Missouri hung in with them really well in the SEC tournament semifinals. So like they're beatable for sure. And I think everybody in the field is beatable. And I think there's less separation between some of the higher seeds and some of the lower seeds than we've had in a lot of years past. So this week is always chaos. This first week into the tournament is always filled with upsets and surprises. But I think if there was ever a year to take some risks and not go all chalk and not have a Final Four that's, all 1s and 2 seeds, this would be it. I've taken a couple futures plays that are long odds that I like. I'll definitely bet some money line underdogs tomorrow. I mean, I bet on Fairleigh Dickinson in the first 4 game earlier tonight. They were like a 3-point underdog, and that didn't make sense to me. So I bet them money line, and they won by 20. That'll probably be the easiest cash I have all NCAA tournament. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like looking for edges. I'm looking for spots where there may be some sort of false narratives out there that we like a guy like I can take advantage of. I'm looking at a lot of your stats that you've put up on DawgsCentral. I'm looking at there's a great website. It's a guy named Bart Victor. His website is Bart BART Torvik. It's his like last name scrambled .com, but like he has all the KimPon data. He has his own ranking system. Like you can go in and look at these teams and some really, really deep dive stats. So I've been playing around on there some, but
yeah, he's like the next Kim Pomeroy. His stuff's free. Yeah, it's like you can't beat those two guys for analytics. You can try to model, it's pointless. They've got it down pat. So I'm glad you've touched on that. I dig into the KimPom. So yes, I interrupt you. Tell me some more.
No. I mean, that's really all I have to say. I mean, we're going to get into some games. So I'll kind of, we can kind of go through like some teams that we like and don't like. But I'm curious, I know you're not a gambler per se in the sense maybe that I am, but are you in any bracket pools or anything like that this year?
Oh yeah, I did the Hoops Mafia bracket pool. I'm
nice.
Sure most of you guys, if he set up a little basketball community for Georgia fans. So if you're into staying in touch and chatting it up and tweeting up with Georgia Hoop fan that talks, not just at Georgia Hoops. Follow Hoops Mafia and get in that community. A lot of fun. So he put out one. I'm in that one, and then some. And then I don't put money down on the games, but I treat it like I do, and I've definitely approached it just like somebody that would be gambling, and definitely did an ESPN. I guess maybe I'll stick it out there, but for anybody to see. So yeah, I mean, I sweat it, and I'm interested in it, just like a gambler would. It's hard to get money down in Georgia at this point. Sadly, it looks like the legislature did not take it back up again, or to possibly make it legal in the state of Georgia. But I am. I think the West is one of these narratives. It's like the toughest one. Like all the top 4 seeds in the 1 through 4 in the West all have an equal shot of winning the championship and making the Final Four. So that's right there. If you want to keep an eye on the West bracket, that could be your chaos bracket in terms of seed. That's the thing too. Is like when you jump in March and you're not watching it or paying attention to it all season, you think, oh man, a 7 just beat a 2, and it's like you realize how close those 2 seeds are. There's a big number in between them, but the teams are very competitive, and that's what makes the tournament awesome.
Yeah, I am obligated to say if anyone wants to jump into the DawgsCentral bracket challenge, we've got one on ESPN.com. The group name is Back to Back Champs. Back to Back is all one word with a 2 in the middle, and then the password for the group. This was made by a member of the community, but the password is Florida Sucks, capital F in Florida, capital S in Sucks. So be sure if you've already got some ESPN bracket challenge stuff going on, you can just drop your same bracket into that group if you want, or you can make a entirely new one. But yeah, back-to-back champs, Florida Sucks is your DawgsCentral bracket challenge. Totally free, but we'll probably give out, a little free subscription period or something like that to some of the top winners in there. So
yeah, it's the number 1 bracket. So you probably already got a bracket made, so just go join another group. And yeah, we'll if you could beat, no, I'm not gonna say that. It's not my site. I'll let you decide the prize. But I dropped the group name and password on the chat there. Perfect. I will be joining that shortly, for sure. As you've been busy, so forgive me for not even jumping in that.
No, and I mean, dude, I get in the Hoops Mafia one as well. So I mean, it's fun to be in as many as you can, right?
Yeah, I'll hype up what you talked about. I've done 2 big blog posts that are pretty deep. It's a lot of stuff. So if you're looking for maybe to tweak your bracket or last minute to join a bracket, I've got a lot of data up there. I've got the round 1 matchups with all the sort of key stats and metrics that you're going to get from those sites, all kind of compiled into one. The one I dropped today is pretty interesting because it breaks it down by, I call it a pod. It's not a region. It's not a section, whatever it is. The 4 teams that are going to play for the chance to advance to next weekend. And I got it broken down. And what I did is I took the circa stats, the circa money lines and the odds to win the championship and converted them to percentage odds. So because sometimes if you're not a gambler, you may not, get what the difference between, plus 250 and plus 8,000 means, but, percentage wise, it makes sense. So you can go in there and you maybe even whittle it down to get through those first 2 rounds so that's out there. And if you want to, let's talk since I got it up here.
Let's get into it. Yeah. You want to start at the top left and go down?
Yeah. I got Alabama at top left, right? You got, is that who you got in your top left? Okay.
That is who I got.
I don't see any upsets or any upsets of Alabama in this first weekend. They are a 98% chance to win, 98.6% chance to win in their first round game, and a 38% chance to advance to the Final Four, and one of the odds-on favorites to win it all at 11%. And then Maryland and West Virginia are the 8-9. That's gonna be a good game. Nice big Power 5 matchup there. That's basically a toss-up. And you got any thoughts on who you're picking there?
So I'm going West Virginia. Maryland's got so much talent, but they've never really put it together this season. And I don't know. Bob Huggins been there, done that. He's really good at like muddying up NCAA tournament games and making them defensive, and his team thrives in those scenarios. And I give a lot of deference to the Big 12 in my bracket because I think it's the best basketball league in the country this year. And that game was a pretty tough one, but that's what kind of swung me in the West Virginia direction. My big, this is probably the biggest shocker of my entire bracket. I got West Virginia beating Alabama on Saturday or Sunday, whatever day they play. And it's not an emotional pick. I don't know, man. I don't know. There's times where I get like weird gut feelings from above on things. And I got a weird gut feeling that West Virginia is gonna pull it off. It is against the numbers. It is against the odds. I totally understand that. But I think that they are gonna do it for some reason. I just think that the style of play that Alabama likes to play is a bad match for what West Virginia can do to a basketball game. And Alabama may be able to control it and force them to play a faster game than they want to, but I've got a feeling that this whole, I don't know, I think the buildup and everything that's gone on around that program over the last month and a half, 2 months is going to kind of come home to roost in Birmingham, 2 blocks away from where Jamia Harris's stepfather goes to work every day. And sometimes you get to witness karma in life, and that would be nice to see.
There's always it's a 9, not always, often a 9 will sneak up in that second game and beat them. That's a good one. West Virginia is Ken Pomeroy's number 17 team overall. They shoot at a high 45% from the field and nearly 35% from three. So that's a good basketball team. And like you said, the Big 12, I think, is probably the best conference in basketball right now. And they got, so they're battle tested. So I like it. I'm going with Alabama there. I've got Alabama making it to, I think I got them losing in my Elite Eight. I've got the spinning wheel of death. Go ahead.
I guess in the rest of this region, do you have anyone in the first round? Do you have any higher seeds knocking off? That's a good way to kind of go through it.
Yeah, that's Tony Kornheiser style. I like it.
I wasn't aware of that, but I'll take it.
Yeah, he runs through all his boomer guests, and they go through it, just knocking out the upsets there. While I pull up my bracket, I like Creighton. Creighton's a 6 seed. I got going all the way to the Final Four.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Hey, what do you like about Creighton? That's that's not one I've seen really much love for around.
21 they won 21 games. They score almost 77 points a game. They shoot 47% from the field and 37 from three. They play decent defense. Ken Pomeroy's got them number 12. I think Baylor is one of those Big 12 teams that they got to play them in the second round. And I think they're just a good team and not a great team. And I think Creighton probably has a little more gas in the tank, to be honest. Creighton has 138 blocks on the year. They play good defense. And they distribute the ball pretty well. They're in, top third in assists. So, and they shoot and they hit their free throws. So I just think Creighton's a really good overall team. And once they get through Baylor, I think it sets up well for them.
All right. Fair enough. I've got them. I considered NC State in that first round game with them for a minute, but I did go Creighton winning that game. I've got them losing to Baylor, but I agonized over that one a lot. That's what's really tough about the bracket every year, but particularly this year. There's like a lot of teams where I'm like, if they win their first round game, I think they could go to the Elite Eight, but I'm not sure they're going to win their first round game. The only big first round upset I have in this region is College of Charleston over San Diego State and that 12-5. actually watched College of Charleston an inordinate amount this year because they are in the CAA with UNCW, which is like, kind of my hometown school. Feel the teal, baby. You know it. If you know it, you know it. But yeah, they
scoring 81 points a game. They won 31 on the season.
31-3. I mean, they're a really good basketball team. I think if they were in a better league with just, I mean, the CAA was a good league this year. I mean, UNCW was a 23 win team that was a 4 seed in the conference tournament, but they just don't kind of have that profile nationally that some of the other mid-major leagues do. I think that Charleston is more like a 10 seed than a 12 seed, though, as far as what they are as a team. And I think they match up, if they win, and assuming Virginia wins, that game will be a really fun contrast of styles in the second round, because Virginia is slow, wait till the end of the shot clock, and Charleston is going to play like 10 guys, and they're going to jack up a bunch of threes, and they're going to take shots, in the first 7-8 seconds of the shot clock. So I think that they have the ability to kind of stress Virginia, and that would be a fun matchup. But yeah, I've got
you got Missouri over Utah State. I took Aggies in that one.
I took Missouri, but I agonized over it a lot. All right, so this is going to be weird, man. You're going to laugh at me for this. So my Elite Eight in this region is West Virginia and Missouri, 9-7.
Well, together. Okay. Well, I've got and let's see, I've got Elite Eight. I got Alabama and Creighton, so obviously. So
yeah,
got Creighton in the upset there. And then I got so I think Arizona's a good team, but I think Creighton's just going to get hot. I have no reason to think that. I did not watch.
I mean, I'm the same way with. I've got Mizzou, Arizona in the second round, and I mean, my logic here is somewhat sound. With like, I think Missouri's playing really well. The one thing that like both comforts me and worries me is like Missouri, I think, is top 5 in the nation in Ken Palm's luck statistic. So they've won a lot of close games, and I mean, like, maybe that's in their DNA, or maybe the luck runs out, right? But I do actually have Mizzou going to the Final Four, and I placed a $50 future bet on Mizzou at plus 4,000 to go to the Final Four, which will cash out at $2,000 if they do it.
Let me see here. Let me find this. I gotta find that. Mizzou has a 2.8 implied odds, 2.8% implied odds of making the Final Four. So,
yeah, classic.
Is that a championship ticket, or is that a Final Four ticket?
Just a Final Four, just to win the region. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I don't think they can win the whole thing, but I did have them. I guess the thing that I was looking at in this is that every year going back to, I believe, 2012, all but one season, there has been a 7 seed or higher to make the Final Four. So the chances of someone kind of coming out of left field is high. I mean, go look at Final Fours over the last 10 years. There's some random teams in there, and I don't know. I think Missouri's kind of got the right style, and there's also just like the law of life being kind of crappy for Georgia basketball fans, and watching a guy that you could have hired go to the Final Four at another school in your conference and in your division would just be really appropriate in the whole like UGA basketball fan ethos. So
a little worried about giving up 75 a game, to be honest. So
it's all right. We'll be okay. Shit'll buff out. No, I mean, dude, it's a field pick for sure.
I love it. Now, all right. So if they beat Arizona, and what you put 50, but and then would you sell that ticket or cash out at 300?
That's a great question. I mean, really, what I'm hoping is that they'd get to the
So
Elite
you're
Eight,
gonna ride or
and
die, huh?
I could really hedge the shit out of it. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do anything with it before the Elite Eight, but I don't know. I mean, like, prop swap. Maybe I go on there, and if somebody wants to offer me some nice dollars for it, I'll take it. But like $300 wouldn't really like change much, but like $2,000 would be like really nice. You know what I mean? Like I think I'll just roll with it. It's not really like responsible, but that's probably the honest answer.
Well, I've got the 6 seed coming out of this region, and you've got the 7 seed. So
there you go. Okay.
Okay.
So you had Creighton beating Alabama in the Elite Eight.
Right. Yeah, I got Creighton, Arizona Creighton, and Alabama Creighton, and then Creighton coming out, and then I got Marquette coming out of the East to beat them in the semis. Okay, down to the East.
Yeah.
The number 1 seed is Purdue. Marquette's the number 2. This is the bracket that's got Tennessee, who had the injury to their point guard, who's I made a middle note to remember his name, but it escapes me. It's
Ziegler.
Ziegler, yep. I was listening to Bet the Process with Jeff Ma and Rufus Peabody, and they had Ken Pomeroy on today, and he talked about, and you see this in football a lot too. It's like how much a certain player is worth on the scoreboard. And they said it was really rare for a player to be worth more than 2 or 3 points. They said that it was a little extenuating circumstances for Tennessee because they don't have a true backup point guard. So that offense could be a little clumsy.
Their offense was bad to begin with.
Exactly.
Too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're going to – so anyway, so that said, do you have what are your upsets in this region in that first round? Any big ones?
So I've got some big ones here.
I'm chalk except for USC in the first round.
I do have USC as well. I've got Florida Atlantic over Memphis. That line stinks, man. Memphis just won the American tournament against the number 1 team in the country, and they're favored by like 2 against FAU, who is a 9 seed. Maybe that line's moved a little bit, but it was around 3, 2.5 when I looked at it a couple days ago. Like that, it's just kind of like
using round 1 implied odds. It's only 57-45 in that game.
Yeah,
so that's a almost toss up. They do have the implied odds for obviously Purdue is the favorite in this region, but a high percentage for an 8 seed, 8% almost for Memphis to make it out. But you like Florida Atlantic?
I like Florida Atlantic. I mean, I like them to lose to Purdue.
I was going to say you must like Purdue advancing in the second weekend then.
Yeah, I've got Oral Roberts beating Duke, which is tough because, like, I don't know. I mean, I filled out a couple brackets or sort of started to fill some out and go back around or whatever. And like, there were times where I filled out brackets and I took Duke to the Elite Eight, and I think if they beat Oral Roberts, that they will beat Tennessee. And that there'll be a real handful for Purdue.
I've gotten them beat Purdue.
Yeah, okay. So as I have it right now, even though I don't trust Tennessee's offense, I think they'll have enough to beat Louisiana Lafayette. And then I think that Oral Roberts will be sitting there. And maybe Oral Roberts is the 12 seed that gets the Sweet 16. I mean, we see a couple double-digit seeds that go to the Sweet 16 every year, but I've got Tennessee and Purdue in the Sweet 16 up top. And then on the bottom, the big upset that I have is Vermont over Marquette. And that's because I don't trust Shaka Smart one lick. He's lost 6 straight games in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And he kind of, pissed down his leg at the Big East tournament last week. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Tom Crean sullied me on the idea of Marquette as a place. I'm not sure.
I'm a big Shaka Smart fan, to be honest. I would like to see him have a run, and I have them in the finals. So I have them on a run. You're gonna.
All right. Wow. Okay.
If you can troll me.
Awesome.
you could troll me hard if when is it? I'm not sure when that game is, but when if Vermont pulls that 2-15 upset. Yeah, I'm chalky.
I mean,
I'm super chalky here. I got into the Elite Eight with Purdue, Duke, Kansas State, Marquette, and then I got, like I said, Marquette making it out, beating Duke.
All right, yeah. So I've got Purdue, Tennessee up top in the Elite Eight, and then Kansas State and USC. I've got USC beating Michigan State and Vermont, and then I've got Kansas State beating USC, Purdue beating Tennessee, and then I actually have I've got Purdue winning the region. I think that this is the year that they finally break the Final Four curse, but I really agonized over that because I really like Kansas State as well.
All right. You want to go? Let's go. I guess we'll go back up top right, the Houston Midwest region. Let me see here. I am super chalky here too through the first round. Don't have any really upsets. I think this is going to be a really good bracket. I think these teams are all pretty matched, except for Houston. I think is head and shoulders above everybody in there. But
this region's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially with A&M there as the 7 seed, like that. I don't know. When you got a 7 seed that was second place in the SEC and won, I think 23, 24 games, like that's a hell of a region, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we made it. Running back, we just didn't even talk about Kentucky in the NCAA tournament at last round. But I
got them winning in the first round and then losing to Kansas State in the second.
Yeah, it's just kind of a sign of the times, they're a very pedestrian basketball program right now. Going back. Okay, so yeah, I like Miami a lot. I think Larinaga is a hell of a coach. So, but I do have Indiana coming out of that one to face Houston. And then, I do have. Are you on the Texas bandwagon? Because they are the hottest team in.
I am on the Texas bandwagon. So, yeah, right now where I'm at, this region's fun because the top pod and the bottom 2 pods, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, or no, the top pod and the bottom pod both play tomorrow night. So it'll be kind of fun. I have Texas winning, rolling through here the first weekend and into the Sweet 16. I got them playing Penn State in the second round, though. I think that Penn State's gonna beat A&M and kind of spoil the storyline that we would all like of Texas A&M on Saturday afternoon.
I don't think we could have done more opposite bracket if we tried.
That's awesome. I mean, that kind of makes it fun, honestly.
Yeah.
Who do you have in Iowa, Auburn?
That's what I was going to touch on. But first off, Houston is the odds-on favorite to win according to Circus Sports at 15.4% to win it all, 97% chance to win round 1. That's not really important. They're going to win round 1, and a 40% chance to come out of the region. I've got Auburn coming out. No, I went back and forth on this big time. I've got Iowa
coming out of the region.
No. Sorry. Go back to I jumped on you. Iowa. I went back and forth, and I did what I saw out of Auburn down there. I mean, I didn't get to watch a lot of games. I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch Iowa, but I did watch Auburn. And it just seemed like their shooters just kind of got cold, and they had several big games that the Tennessee game certainly was a big win for them because that was just 2 Saturdays ago. But they also did not show up. I mean, they played Alabama hard. It was a tough game, but I don't see the clutch gene in them this year, and I've got Iowa winning that game. Who do you got?
I've got Iowa as well. So I mean, my big, the only like real shocking thing that I have in this bracket, I've got Iowa State winning over Pitt. I've got Xavier beating Kennesaw State. I got Miami beating Drake. But I have Kent State over Indiana in that first round game. And I think Indiana's really good too. I think Kent State's just a really good team. And if Indiana wins that game in the first round, then I could see them, I think they would go to the Sweet 16, and I think that they would give Houston a hell of a game in the Sweet 16, but I just think that they're going to lose to Kent State. And I got the straight, the bottom half, I've got Iowa State over Xavier. So I go Houston and Kent State and Iowa State and Texas in the Sweet 16. I've got Texas beating Iowa State in a Big 12 battle. And then I've got Kent State beating Houston and going to the Elite Eight.
I've got Houston winning it all.
Okay. I got Texas. Yeah. I got Texas beating Kent State and going to the Final Four.
I mean, Kelvin Sampson is one of my favorite people in the sport.
He's great. Yeah. I mean, I would be really happy to watch them win it all. I'm just on the general principle that, I don't know, this is a good year to fade 1 seeds. And I mean, my bracket's not that chaotic when you go. I picked probably 85% favorites in here, but the spots where I predict upsets are spots where
that's a good strategy to win one of these things, though. It
kind of is, I think.
Yeah, there's strategy to. Indiana is the third least likely, third. Only Virginia as a 4 seed has a lower percentage to come out of that region. So it's and this whole little pod here with Miami, Drake, Indiana, and Kent State is really kind of toss-ups even in round 1.
Drake's really good too, man. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they beat Miami.
That's
been a popular upset pick that I've heard from some people.
And okay, have we Kennesaw went down below? Kennesaw State, best team.
I've got Xavier. I would love for them. I'd love for Kennesaw State to do it, but I just don't think they will.
No, Xavier is really good. Yeah. And they've got 11% chance to come out of this bracket, which is pretty high for a 3 seed.
That is high.
So yeah, and they got a 2% chance to win the whole thing. So that's not a bad odds. Considering the odds on favorites only, Alabama's 11%. So it's a good team. And Vegas thinks so as well. And Iowa State's the team I got no feel for. I think they're getting the benefit of playing in the Big 12, but a 19. But Ken Palm's got him 22, so he likes them.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, that's the question of it's really the question of the tournament, right? Is the 2 big questions for me is the Mountain West able to rebound from? I mean, they went 0-4 on the first day of the tournament last year, and the entire league was out in I think the first 2 time windows of games, and then you had
are they the Mountain West or the West Coast?
No, I'm talking about the Mountain West. I'm talking about Utah State, and you got Nevada, and you've got San Diego State, and you've got Boise State. You've got 4 of them in there again, and I mean, I've talked about them on Twitter. I think I've texted you about they play really good basketball out there, and the teams are really well coached, and it's fun to watch. But I was hesitant to pick them in a lot of spots because of how much of a flub they had last year. But that's one question. And then the other is the Big 12 all that we thought it was cracked up to be, right? Can they figure are they going to be a league that really is 6 or 7 teams deep and elite?
Yeah, you saw this into the SEC when it was just all the teams were clumped together and they did really well in the NCAA tournament, and 4 teams making it to the Sweet 16 a couple years ago. So that's an easy narrative to see happen for the Big 12 this year. I just a 6 seed. I think they get the benefit of Pitt's already playing a game, the other night. So I did have Iowa State winning that game, but I did not like them going past that. I mean, like I said, I got Houston coming out. I got My Elite Eight is Houston, Indiana. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds. So Texas, Xavier, coming out of there. I like A&M. I think A&M's a good team.
I do too, and that's why
I don't think Penn State's a good team.
I think they are. I mean, like just the way that they, not just the run that they had in the NCAA, or I'm sorry, in the Big Ten tournament, but like even the way they lost that Purdue game impressed me. I mean, they were down like 10, 12, 13 at points in the second half and came back, and it was, I mean, they had a chance to win it at the buzzer. And then, they beat Maryland on the last Saturday of the season, like in a close game. I don't know. I think they're just kind of built for close games in a way, but I do wonder if they can score with Texas A&M. Like if A&M is doing their thing, I don't think Penn State can keep pace. So now you're making me question my entire region. Thanks a lot.
I mean, these teams are. I mean, it's implied odds for Texas A&M to win is 60%. But look at the matchup there. They're pretty evenly matched. Penn State actually shoots the ball a little better. They're both averaging almost 73 points. That could be one of the better games.
It'll be a great game, yeah.
It's gonna be a great game. Everyone was talking about Texas A&M getting the shaft, but Kim Palm's got him 24. So I mean, like that's not that far off of that seeding. Well, so he's not as sold on A&M as making it all the way to the SEC finals last weekend. So
I mean, who have they beaten? Really, what I mean? Like that's one thing that, like in the SEC tournament, I was like, oh well, okay. Like, I mean, they played Alabama twice in a week basically, and they got a worse result the second time than they did the first time. I think that they're really good if they can turn you over and get up and down. And I mean, dude, I watched the Georgia game when they went out to College Station, and like Texas A&M came out hot, and it was, I mean, that game was over in 6 minutes. But
they don't shoot the 3-point very well. They're one of the bottom third teams at 33%.
And
Penn State can fill it up.
Yeah, and that game against Georgia, I mean, as bad as they beat Georgia, man, in that first half, it felt like they missed 15 open threes. I mean, I'm sure that wasn't the actual number, but they were missing a lot of open shots. And I mean, it's college basketball. Open shots get missed, but I don't know. That's kind of one thing for me is like a lot of these teams, even if everything's executed properly, it still isn't guaranteed to work. And I don't know. I mean, there's the stat about the Kim Pom, like his straight offensive rankings. I think that he's got, his adjusted offense, I guess is what it is. Hasn't, like, the last 5 national champions or something been top 3 in that stat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this year, the top 3 teams in adjusted offense are Gonzaga, Baylor, and Iowa. So maybe it's Gonzaga's time finally, but I Mark Few shits the bed in the NCAA tournament every year. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
And then the 4th team is Arizona. And then you got UConn at 6th. I don't know.
UConn's the one that we haven't gotten to that bracket, but
well, let's go. We can go down there.
Yeah. All right. So refresh who you got coming out. Who's your Elite Eight in this one? In Midwest.
My Elite Eight in this one is Kent State and Texas, and I got Texas coming out.
All right. So the West bracket has some of the 4 of the best teams in here according to some of the metrics. Like I said, let me scroll down here. You've got. Yeah, this has got UCLA and Kansas with, let's see, nobody. I mean, like everyone is 10% or below to win the championship with, UCLA and Gonzaga and UConn and Kansas all clumped together. So this is the bracket of death, or the region of death, as you might say, if this were a soccer tournament.
It was the World Cup.
I don't know much about UConn. It's Bobby Hurley's team, right? And so I just went with the crowd on that one. So I've got them coming all the way to the Elite Eight, and I do have Gonzaga meeting them there. And then I've got
you've got
Arkansas,
Kansas.
I've got UConn beating Kansas. Yes.
Okay.
And I have Arkansas winning the first game. There's a lot of chalk, and I got Northwestern. That's another. I don't know. I just can't think of Boise State being a good basketball team, but they are. I don't like Northwestern, but I went there. And the UCLA's got a banged up player, but again, this is one of those things that Ken Palm talked about. They've got a lot of good talent on that, and that's a deep UCLA team. Mm-hmm. So I think they're gonna have. I think they're actually gonna have an easy path. I think that's up until Gonzaga the next weekend. What do you got coming? You got anything exciting coming out of this bracket? I don't have any big seeds coming out.
I got a little interesting stuff happening here.
Yeah, tell us.
I mean, you know me, dude. It's never boring, but this is probably my most boring region. I've got Kansas, obviously winning their first round game. I've got Illinois over Arkansas. I've got St. Mary's over VCU. I got UConn. The only upset I've got in the first round really is I think whoever wins Arizona State, Nevada tonight will beat TCU. So I got that one. And then after that, I roll into Northwestern, Gonzaga over Arizona State, Nevada. I got Illinois beating Kansas in the second round. I'm fading my 1 seeds. And I think Bill Self with the heart thing, I don't know. And they just got blown out at the end of the Big 12 championship. I just don't really like where they're at. They had a great season, but they aren't really like peaking at the right time for this type of format.
Who you got in St. Mary's?
And then I've got UConn beating St. Mary's. And then I've got UConn beating Illinois to go to the Elite Eight. And then I've got a Gonzaga UCLA matchup in the Elite Eight, and I have UCLA winning. Because I think that their defense is brutal enough to do it.
I like it.
And then my final four pick is UCLA over UConn.
UConn has a 20% chance of making the Final Four, according to Circa. VCU.
What is UCLA's chance, according to
implied odds are 21% and a 7.
So that's
really good. Yeah, and 7.7% chance to win it all. So I like it. Yeah, that Boise State Northwestern's a toss up there.
I know. I went with Northwestern, but
I don't feel good about it.
Bro, I haven't watched Northwestern play any sport in like at least 2 years.
Shout out Brandy. I'm sure she's not watching. She's on Auburn Twitter. She's a good follow, Brandy. You'll see her. I'll interact with her on Twitter. She's super smart. She bets a lot of sports, and I just kept seeing her tweets all year long because they seem to always be comparing Auburn and Northwestern. And I think they were similar resumes and
pretty similar.
Yeah. So, and I think I let I went Northwestern over them.
I did too.
Yeah, it's pretty chalky bracket, but this is going to be, I think, the most exciting games of the weekend are going to be in this coming out of this region. I think they're all pretty. I think there's really good teams, and the Elite Eight could be. Sometimes the Elite Eight is not great, but I think this could be. This bracket is going to put good games throughout the whole tournament.
Yeah, I think this bracket is where like you're going to have all heavy hitters in the Sweet 16. Kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I think these other brackets, I could see double-digit seeds slipping into Sweet 16s and Elite 8s, but this region down here, I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, so recapping, I've got Creighton and Marquette on the left side, with Marquette making it to the final, Houston and Gonzaga on the right, and I've got a Houston 77-68 over Marquette in the final.
Nice.
Chalky odds-on favorite to win it all. So
I got Missouri and Purdue in my Final Four on the left side.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you.
I've got Missouri. I know, you're good. I've got Missouri beating Purdue to go to the national championship game, and then I've got Texas and UCLA. and I got Texas beating UCLA, and I've got Texas winning the national championship. I think the score to the national championship, hold up, I gotta find it, will be 72-67.
If Missouri makes it to the final game, Trey's going to buy you a Hellcat.
I want that on. I need that in writing, man. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I think I do. I guess my question for you would be, sorry, I'm all over the place here. Let's take my principle that I stated earlier of a 7 seed or higher has made the Final Four all but once for the last 12 tournaments. So who's the team? Like who know, whether it's your implied odds stuff or like
okay, so I've got Creighton.
What would be the long shot?
I've got Creighton in it.
But they're a 6. They're not a 7.
All right. So looking at some high value underseeded 7 seeds.
Give the people some futures value here, you know, the long shot.
Missouri is a 2.8% chance to make the Final Four, you know. Memphis is
don't worry about percentages.
Yeah, Memphis is a 7.8% chance to make the Final Four.
It's pretty high for an 8 seed.
Kentucky's a 6, 7. Michigan State's down to 5, 4, 5. Not good there. Not a good matchup there. Indiana, that's a 4. Never mind. Xavier's of series. Another one is Texas A&M at 7.8% to make the Final Four.
I thought about that.
And St. Mary's is a 5. TCU's a 6.
Is there any double-digit seed that like stands out?
A double-digit
above any of the other double-digit seeds, like that's like, oh, you know, like whether like, you know, USC is a 10 seed maybe, or you know, somebody like that. I mean, it's normally somebody that's like I considered maybe NC State could make a run, right? Like someone like that. That's a Power 5 conference team.
Yeah,
that's lower seeded. Like that tends to be the pro.
I think Tennessee's a 4. Tennessee and Duke are both have, you know, 15 and 16% chance to come out of that region, which is pretty high for a 4 and a 5. So it just tells you that whoever, if chalk plays out and Tennessee and Duke play each other, those are 2 good teams that can win the next game as well. And both those guys have, you know, 4% for Duke to win it all and 5%, which is pretty high. Tennessee with a 5% chance to win it all is pretty good. We're not a Tennessee fan here. Never cheer for Orange. And Purdue is actually thinking, if you want to fade a team, Purdue is an 8% chance to win it all, which is the lowest of all the 1 seeds.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic Purdue.
Yeah, it's almost as close as Arizona as a 2 seed to win it all. Virginia's a very low 4 seed there. I don't really see anything jumping out. I mean, of course, they're not going to, you know, just the betting favorites aren't going to tell you a high a 10. I don't think it's top heavy, and I just think there's 20 really good teams, and I think they're all going to win. And I think there's some pretty mediocre bad teams, and that's kind of the narrative with my bracket. Is I went not super chalky, but I don't have any long shots winning. Certainly not Missouri.
So one interesting spot, you know, I told you that I got West Virginia beating Alabama on Saturday. So looking at just the adjusted offensive efficiency rankings, right, that we were talking about earlier, where, you know, a few national champions in a row have been top 3 in that stat. So you got Gonzaga, Baylor, Iowa, but you go down a little bit and, you know, 11th in that stat is Miami. 10th in that stat is Missouri, 7 seed. I'm just looking at kind of teams that stand out in that stat as higher seeded teams. West Virginia is 13th in that as a 9 seed, which is actually 2 spots higher than Alabama. Utah State too in there.
Let me jump in here because I just highlighted Utah State has a Ken Palm's number 23 team as a 10 seed. So Yeah, that's high. And they shoot 48% from the field. It's a pretty. They won 26 games, score almost 79 points a game. There's a 10 seed if you want to throw some future odds on. Yeah.
I mean, I rode them pretty hard last weekend, man. I bet on them 3 games in a row, and they covered 3 times in a row.
Yeah. Nice.
I know, but man, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't. I was kind of like, maybe it's time to jump off, but maybe that's rude. Maybe I should just
ride or die.
Dog out west is rolling with Utah State in the hotbed of basketball out here in the Four Corners, baby.
If you're giving me $25 to put on a future, I might put it on a Utah State coming out of the bottom half of that bracket. They got to go through Arizona. That's a doable path for a 10 seed, I think. Arizona's good, really good team, but
but they're fast paced like they are,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Bart Victor rankings as well. Just kind of looking at some spots that stand out, like his number 18 team in the country is Arkansas as an 8 seed. His number 16 team is Memphis, 7 seed. Or I'm sorry, 8 seed as well. He's got A&M 17th in the country as a 7 seed, which is more like a 4 or 5 seed, than a 7. I don't know. I mean, it's a little different than KenPom, but I think both guys are really smart, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and what both ththose guys are doing is they're adjusting, which is something that you and I won't be able to adjusting for pace, adjusted for schedule.
Right.
A team that scores 79, for the season is probably not a 79 a game NCAA team, and especially if they're coming out of one of the mid majors.
Totally. That's what concerns me about Utah State is like they move the ball really well. They got a bunch of little white Utah guards that can shoot it, but like when they run into some defense and they need to rebound, can they, the other team I got a weird feeling about on this a little bit is Iowa's an 8 seed and they're number 3 in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. Like,
yeah, I think I'm still, I think I'm still grossed out by the Iowa football offense, so I can't really get behind the Iowa basketball.
You know what, man? I've had the exact same thought. I'm just like, I just associate Iowa with straight inept.
I don't want to see a 44,
when it
42
comes to scoring points.
Here's maybe a high seed. Talking to your 7+ seeds winning or whatever. Memphis has a 7%, 8%, almost 8% chance to make it to the Final Four. They're an 8 seed, would be facing Purdue the next in round 2. So, and Purdue is one of the least likely to win it all, number 1 seed. So maybe that's a path you want to look at up there. So,
that is.
And Memphis, and that's a good basketball conference. And Memphis is won 26 games. And KenPom, they're only number 33 by KenPom. What does Bart have them? What is he? What's
overall ranking?
Just something.
For Memphis. Yeah. He's got them ranked as the number 16 team.
6 or 16?
In the country. 16.
16.
Yeah.
There you go.
And 20th in adjusted offense. Yeah, one thing that stands out that's interesting is like in those adjusted offense rankings, Furman, 13 seed. They're number 30 in the country, which is high in adjusted offense, right? Like, that's higher than Indiana. That's higher than Kansas is.
Purple Paladins. How do you?
The Paladins. Yeah. They
got the blue hose up there.
It's higher than St. Mary's. It's higher than Maryland. It's higher than Michigan State. It's higher than Duke, who they play.
Furman would like to beat Virginia.
Oh God. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think they might. I think they could. Like that's one thing that I'll do tomorrow is I'll sprinkle, a few bucks on some of these big money line underdogs and let's say I sprinkle 5, probably only 1 or 2 are going to win, but I'm going to more than make back my money because they're such long odds, and that's kind of the beauty of the NCAA tournament is like it rewards a strategy that's just a little more fun than I mean, like during college football season, I'll pick my money line spots early in the year, but by the time we get to late October and early November, there's just not that much inefficiency in the market to be taken advantage of. And the NCAA tournament, it draws in money from so much dumb money, which sometimes that's my money too. Don't get me wrong, but like,
Yeah,
there's so much money that gets drawn in from people that are just like, oh, like I want to bet on my team this weekend because they're in the tournament for the first time in 5 years or whatever.
I think that Furman Virginia game is by the money line implied odds is the lowest or the closest for a 13 seed in the first round.
That would make sense, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Let me check this other one.
That's what's interesting. I mean, that's what I enjoy about some of these advanced metrics is like, I don't know. I always feel like stats are good when
implied odds are
proven.
And yeah, I mean, and any metric, football, basketball, soccer, whatever, is pricing in the market, right? In the market we're talking about is Vegas. So if you're not right there, so these implied odds are basically what Graham's talking about in money line is there's a simple calculation. You can look it up to just calculate what the plus money or minus money is and implied odds and stuff. So I checked that. Indiana and Virginia are the 2 4 seeds that have the lowest, the least odds. They're in the low 60s to win the first round games facing a 13 seed, and Indiana's playing Kent State. So if you want to chase, if you want to throw some blind bets on the 13 seeds, I would do that. Little 25 round robber on all the. In fact,
I mean, as much as I've liked Kansas State this year, and I really like Jerome Tang, that's a team that's ranked as a 3 seed in the bracket. Tovik Bart Victor in his rankings, he has them ranked 25th overall, and he has them ranked 57th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. Like that's a team that I might hunt on money line, even though I don't know jack about the 14 seed that they're playing, right? Like Tennessee, he's got 5th overall in the country, but they're 49th in adjusted offensive efficiency, and they just lost the guy that's probably their best offensive player. Fascinating thing about that matchup is Louisiana Lafayette is 48th in offensive efficiency, 1 spot higher than them. Like, I mean, Tennessee's got to be better on defense than Lafayette is, obviously, but it's fun, man. It's fun to find where some of this stuff is.
Hey, Graham, it's on DawgsCentral.com.
That's true.
Some of this is there. Damn. I have posted up all these implied odds and stuff is in my blog that came out today. It's also on the Twitter. And then yesterday's have first round matchups, and those first round matchups are a little deeper dive. You can actually get the players and their averages and stuff, so you can familiarize yourself with some of the names you're going to hear over the next 4 days. So please click on it, share it. It's free. And if you like that, there's lots of good stuff that you can subscribe and get beyond the paywall, including a forum. So yeah, please. I worked really hard on it. I had a lot of fun. I do it for fun, but click on it.
It's great.
It's color coded and everything.
I mean, it really is.
Green is good. Graham, we're up to actually the most live viewers we've had the whole time, but I think we've been nice. I think we're probably need to sign off.
Do you want to
soon? Yeah, no. I mean, just what else you got?
I'll throw. If you've made it this long, I'll give you a little Georgian nugget here at the end of the show. And posted about this yesterday on our website, DawgsCentral.com. But there's some guys who've impressed that have showed up as early enrollees that I don't think are a surprise. 5-star defenders usually look impressive when they show up on campus, but a guy to keep an eye on that it kind of, is looking the part athletically, so to speak, is tight end Lawson Lucky, who is the son of one of the Lucky triplets who played for Georgia when I was a kid. But yeah, I don't know. Just, he was sort of looked at as like maybe the third tight end in this class, like the third best, maybe the fourth best if Georgia had signed Walker Lyons and Deuce Robinson. And I think a lot of people thought he was going to flip at one point or another, but Georgia worked hard to keep him away from Alabama. And since he's gotten on campus, he looks like a pretty complete type of package with his body type and what Georgia wants its tight ends to do. So it's a fun little nugget for you.
You stick around to the end for, guys.
That's what you stick around to the end for.
What I'm typing right now is Florida sucks. Nope. Oh wait, I gotta check something. Yes, Florida sucks is the password to join the
capital F, capital S,
exclamation point.
All one word. All one word. Yeah. Here. So I'll type it in. Back-to-back champs.
Back-to-back champs. Okay. There's a back-to-back.
Is the group.
Sorry. Back-to-back.
Oh, you're good. Florida sucks. Got it.
I'm joining it right now. So that's ESPN.
Perfect. Yeah. ESPN Tournament Challenge. Back-to-back champs. It's in the comments there. It's also on the DawgsCentral forum. So come and join us. And like I said, if you win, then we'll do something for you, man. I don't know. Maybe you can even sort of negotiate your own prize. Like if you want to come on air for 10 minutes, we can do that. Or, if you own a business, we'll give you a week of free advertising. Or if you want 3 months free at DawgsCentral, we'll do that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I don't know. There's no other bracket pool that lets you pick your own prize.
I'll give you a hat. Yeah, hats.
Josh will give you a hat. Dude, your hats are very sought after.
All right, I officially joined. It's a good sized league there.
Bam.
We need some more people in.
Yeah, it's decent. It's getting there. You guys come join. It'll be fun.
All right.
And you can trash us for doing an hour and 12-minute podcast about NCAA tournament predictions after you smoke us in the bracket pool.
I like it. You've got a chance. If Missouri gets that far, you got a chance to win.
Let's just do it and be legends, man. I mean that's kind of my thing here. Is if Missouri can win, and I mean really, if I'm gonna be audacious enough to tweet about West Virginia beating Alabama this weekend before the tournament starts tomorrow. And if that happens, maybe I'll make the freezing cold takes or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I feel it in my bones, man.
All right, Graham, it's good to be back on here. And
thanks for getting on, man. It's fun to have you on there. I enjoy doing this with you.
Likewise, man. Likewise. All right, man. We'll join the tournament challenge, please, and click share. Follow us on Twitter. You guys probably already have. And thanks for jumping in the chat and stick around for an hour and 13 minutes. That was good stuff.
Yeah. DawgsCentral.com. Got practice report up from yesterday's first practice of spring. If you want to check it out, we're still running our holiday special. So you can get an entire year of DawgsCentral for $5 a month, which is
cheap.
I don't know, cheaper than the other guys. Yeah.